Welcome back, Wildcat Nation, to episode 2 of season 6. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf, and today we are spotlighting the number 5 nationally ranked IWU football team. We are joined by fifth-year senior defensive back Neil Campbell and sophomore quarterback Kyle Antoine.
Antoine was recently named the MSFA Offensive Player of the Week, throwing for 269 yards and a program record 5 touchdowns in the Wildcats' season-opening win against Madonna. Campbell was a second-team All-American selection last year and spent the summer in Bloomington with the Indiana Hoosiers before deciding to come back to IWU for his 5th year.
Before we get started, here's your Crossroads League in Review.
I'm Isaac Wolf with your Crossroads League Week in Review. This week we start in men's soccer where the number 7 team in the country, Indiana Wesleyan University, remains undefeated at 8-0. After a 5-0 win over Olivet Nazarene, the Wildcats head into their Wednesday matchup at Marion on one of the hottest streaks in the country. The 8-win stretch includes 2 top 10 wins as well as a shutout of number 21 Rio Grande. Number 3 Bethel is undefeated to start their season as well, 6-0-2, with their most recent wins coming against Madonna, Judson, and receiving votes Lindsey Wilson of Kentucky. Their next match will be against St. Ambrose University of Iowa on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Number 20 Grace remains winless at 0-4-2. The Lancers had one game this week, a 2-0 loss at home to Lourdes. They head on the road this Wednesday to face receiving votes University of Northwestern Ohio before getting into conference play. In women's soccer, the 9th-ranked Cougars of Spring Arbor went 1-1 this week, falling to number 1 Cumberlands of Kentucky 3-1 and defeating St. Xavier of Illinois 4-1. Lauren Marshall scored 2 goals less than 3 minutes apart from each other to break the game open in the second half against St. Xavier. Their next game comes at home against Madonna on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Number 15 Indiana Wesleyan bounced back after a loss and a tie with a shutout 5-0 of Judson. Sarah Falk led the way with 2 of the 5 goals, and both were assisted by Jackie Norris. The Wildcats head to IU Kokomo on Wednesday. That game will kick off at 7 p.m. Number 16 Marion is now 7-1-1 after wins against number 8 Cumberland University of Tennessee and the University of Jamestown, which was a 6-0 sweep in a match that was rescheduled from August 31st. The Knights have some time before their next game as they will prepare to travel to Indiana Wesleyan for a showdown with the Wildcats next Wednesday, September 25th. In volleyball, number 7 Indiana Wesleyan took down Bethel in 4 sets on Saturday. The Wildcats held Bethel to a .090 attack percentage and put up 10 blocks in the win. They will take on number 22 Mount Vernon Nazarene on Wednesday, who remains undefeated at 16-0, with their most recent win coming in 5 sets on Saturday against number 24 Marion. Lissy Snoffer led the way for the Cougars with 20 kills. Number 21 Grace took care of Taylor in Spring Arbor last week, putting their record at 9-2 as they prepare to host St. Francis on Wednesday at 7. And number 24 Marion, before falling to MVNU on Saturday, swept Bethel and St. Francis. They host Huntington on Wednesday to attempt to stretch their record to 13-2. As for this week's Crossroads League Awards, the volleyball attacker of the week is Lissy Snoffer of Mount Vernon. Snoffer helped keep number 22 Mount Vernon unbeaten with league wins over Huntington and number 24 Marion. Snoffer played a large role in those wins, averaging 4.4 kills and 3.3 digs per set while posting double-doubles in each contest. The volleyball defender of the week is Jalen Tang of Mount Vernon. Tang led the back row defense for number 22 Mount Vernon with 4.8 digs per set in a pair of wins. Tang posted 17 digs in the sweep of Huntington and 21 in a 5-set win over number 24 Marion while having just 1 receiving error in 44 attempts in the 2 matches. The volleyball setter of the week is Reagan Nuss of Mount Vernon. Nuss reached her 2,000th career assist while orchestrating the number 22 Cougar attack in a pair of Crossroads League victories, including a 5-set win over number 24 Marion. Nuss had a career-best 59 assists in that match and averaged 11.6 assists and 4 digs per set with 2 double-doubles. The women's soccer offensive player of the week is Katie Koger of Marion. Koger scored an insurance tally in the number 16 Marion's 2-0 upset win over number 8 Cumberland on the heels of dishing out 3 assists and scoring 1 goal in a 5-0 win over St. Francis of Illinois. For the week, the junior midfielder registered 7 points in the 2 shutout victories for Marion. The women's soccer defensive player of the week is Campbell Massey of Taylor. Massey led a stout defense for Taylor in wins over Defiance and Trinity Christian. Massey opened the week by helping hold DC without a shot before scoring a goal in Taylor's 5-1 win over the previously unbeaten Trinity Christian squad. The men's soccer offensive player of the week is Zach Bowser of Mount Vernon. Bowser put in 5 goals for MVNU over a pair of victories. The senior scored all 4 of the Cougars' goals in a 4-1 win over Great Lakes Christian before adding the game winner in a 2-1 win against West Virginia Tech. The men's soccer defensive player of the week is Dan Pellegrine of Huntington. Pellegrine worked 180 scoreless minutes in goal for Huntington, helping the Foresters to 1-0 victories over St. Xavier and Lawrence Tech. Pellegrine preserved the 2 shutouts by stopping 3 shots on target in each contest. The women's cross-country runner of the week is Esther Cameron of Grace. Cameron was the top NAIA finisher at the Warrior Challenge, finishing 3rd of 146 at the event with a time of 22 minutes and 32.2 seconds to pace the number 16 Lancers. The men's cross-country runner of the week is Brandon Kleber of Grace. Kleber highlighted Grace's showing at the Warrior Challenge by finishing runner-up at the event. Kleber's time of 25 minutes and 27.8 seconds put him 2nd of 190 runners. The women's tennis player of the week is Keva Polani of Bethel. Polani went a combined 6-0 for Bethel in 4 team victories. Polani went 3-0 at number 2 singles for the Pilots and also picked up 1 win at number 1 doubles and 2 more at number 2 doubles. The men's tennis player of the week is Pablo Gregori of Grace. Gregori anchored the top of the lineup for number 20 Grace in wins over number 24 Marion and Indiana Wesleyan. The senior went 2-0 at number 1 singles and 2-0 at number 1 doubles to help the Lancers maintain their perfect mark in league play. That's all for this week with your Crossroads League Week in Review. I'm Isaac Wolf.
Okay, to start things off, take us back to the beginning of your football journey and how you started with the sport.
I guess I'll start. My first time playing football, I was like 8, but it was flag football. I didn't start playing tackle football until I was 10. And, yeah, my dad coached me till I went to high school, so like 14 years old. And, yeah, I played high school, then came here.
Yeah, I actually have a pretty similar story, except the person who introduced me to football was my brother. So when I was about 7, in around like 2011 or so, I'd come home from school and we'd just start tossing the ball around in the backyard, and he taught me how to throw and taught me how to play and the rules of the game. And then I got signed up for something called aerial football, which is basically like touch football, 7-on-7. And then I started playing tackle football and throughout middle school and high school, and then ended up coming here. So, yeah.
When did you guys realize that playing football at the collegiate level was a real possibility?
I think for me it was probably like my sophomore year of high school when, I played basketball, and then I kind of, throughout the season, I kind of just start focusing on track, indoor track, and I was pretty good at track. That's when I realized, like, my speed probably helped me play at the collegiate level kind of thing. So,
Yeah, for me, going into my junior year, I started going to camps and stuff like that around Indiana and just saw, like, myself getting a lot better, and was talking to my trainers and coaches and about my future and, like, what I could do, and then ended up having a really good junior season. That's when I was like, okay, I think I can go to the next level. Like, just got to keep getting better, I guess, but I think I can. So,
Kind of explain the recruiting process then at that point.
Well, it started off pretty slow. You know, I went to a very small school, 2A in Indiana, which is the second smallest class. And so I didn't get much coaches DMing me or emailing me or whatever, but after my junior years, when I started to get more traction, I'd have, smaller schools looking at me and a few FCS schools trying to talk to me, but nothing huge. And I was originally committed to a Division III school to go play, but Coach Austin Taylor, our defensive coordinator who recruits my area, ended up reaching out to me and letting me know that I could come here, and went through a whole process with him. So.
My recruitment, it was kind of the same way. From Chicago, I went to a small school, and football not really big in Chicago. It's more of a basketball city or whatnot. But, yeah, my school was 2A for Chicago, so, like, the second lowest division. And it was a private school. And so we came here for, like, a camp. This when the stadium was just being built. I don't know if it was, like, 2018, 17, like my junior, sophomore year. And we just practiced on the field. And then from then, that's when Indiana Wesleyan started recruiting me. But other than that, I didn't really have no other schools that was reaching out like that.
So discuss last year's success as a team. You guys obviously were 10-2, lost in the quarterfinals. So just explain last year's success, both as a team and individually. So
last year's success, I think we had some pretty good leaders on the team last year. I think they was on the podcast. Jameis was on the podcast. He's not here this year, but I just think he led the team pretty well. And the senior class that year, we had a group of great older guys who helped lead the team, helped mentor the younger guys throughout the season. And I think that's what led to so much success. Towards the end of the season, we had a lot of injuries. I think we probably would have made a little further run if we had everybody, but we had like a Bayo out. I think Cheese was out. Like, we just had a lot of injuries towards the end of the season, and we still end up having a successful season.
So how did the ending of last season produce motivation coming into this season?
I obviously spent most of my time on the sideline last year, and I got to watch a lot of really good games with really good players last year. And, I just saw a lot of potential. Like, we left so much off the scoreboard, especially offensively, last year in a couple of our games. And just with the weapons that we had, I knew that there was a lot of potential for growth. And with another year in Rhodey's offense, with Palmer as offensive coordinator, I knew that we could do some really big things. And that's why I was really excited and motivated to work my tail off and to get to play, So.
Kind of expand on your relationship with the coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball and for you, the defensive side of the ball. And you've had multiple coaches in your time here, so kind of explain that process as well.
I think this year with Coach Taylor being the defensive coordinator, he's been here since, 2021, I think. So we run the same defense, so the relationship's been there for a while, and it's just relearning the same things. And with Coach Taylor, he just reiterates, and we throw a little twist and turns depending on the team that we're playing. But I think the relationships has been there for a while, so it wasn't much change this year, even from having, I think, three different D coordinators since I've been here. But they all were, good guys, and it's always just been the same defense. So.
Yeah, in my relationship, when I first got here, Rhodey was the offensive coordinator, and now it's Palmer. So I have really good relationships with both of them, but it was really interesting to see how they both operated the offense differently. It was Rhodey's offense from the school that he came from, and he had a certain way that he would teach us and run it. But halfway through last year, Palmer became the quarterback coach, whereas it was Rhodey before. And I learned a whole new perspective from another coach who's really, really good at coaching. So that really helped me out, and I got to build really close relationships with both of them because I had them both during the same year, which is a cool thing to have. So, yeah.
Going back on that, I want to say, too, Coach Rhodey, I think he does a good job being intentional about developing relationships amongst the team. He really emphasizes that, and that's different from the old coaching staff that I used to have, how we split into small groups and have family leaders and little stuff like that. So that's not really a football thing, but I think him bringing that part into the program is nice. I really enjoy that part.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering is what kind of things you guys do as a team, or does he lead spiritually to grow in your guys' faith off the field?
Yeah, so kind of the small group thing. So he appoints 12 family leaders, 12 leaders on the team. And throughout training camp, it was every night, 9 p.m. We split up into our groups. He give us 5 guided questions that we just talk about with our family, and that kind of helps us grow spiritually. And then as a whole team, he'll talk about it too every day. We got a champion's manual. He'll go through a verse or so and just tell us how that can apply to our lives. So.
And then a little more during fall camp, we had worship nights where Coach Rhodey's wife, Joy, would lead worship, who's actually a phenomenal singer. And so 40 or so guys, it was optional, and they would go up to the football suites, and she was singing, which was really cool. And then those families that he talked about, we also had them in the summer where we covered the life of David, and we would have a Bible study on Wednesday nights and then split into groups with 5 questions talking about what we learned, and everyone had some good stuff to add there. So
moving more individually, Neil, you were an All-American last season. What do you think was the difference for you having such a successful season last year?
I think just continuing to trust the process. That's always been my main thing, just never going to the games worrying about getting these amount of stats or these stats, just doing my job for the team and the best way I can and just trying to get the win. And I feel over time, I've did that for the past 4 years I've been here. And then, I've just kind of had the stats to get All-American last year. But, yeah, I think that's what led to it, just trusting the process.
So following that, explain your process this summer with football and how you ended up back at IWU for your 5th year.
Yeah, so I had my extra COVID year, and I had graduated in April, so I had an extra year to play football, and I had the opportunity to go play at IU. And then so I went down there. I was down there the whole summer from, like, May until, like, mid-training camp. Like, I came back, like, August 9th or something like that. But it was fun. It was a fun experience. I probably wasn't going to start out there. That was one of my main, like, my last year, I was like, I want to play, like, and have a significant amount of reps kind of thing. I didn't want to be a rotational player. I also couldn't get into my master's program out there either. And that was, like, my main reason for continuing playing football is so I can get further education kind of thing. So that was, like, the whole process with that. And then I called Coach Rhodey in, like, mid-training camp, and he was just, like, happy that I wanted to come back. And he was like, we just had to figure out a couple things, and then I came back.
And then, Kyle, for you last year, not getting a ton of playing time, how did you use that as a learning opportunity?
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of reps, but I had a lot of guys to look up to, specifically Xander Stokes and Chase Bradman. Those are 2 senior guys. And they actually taught me a lot, like, on and off the field, and were guys I could look up to. But, like, stuff that I learned how to, like, manage my emotions during the game. I thought Xander was phenomenal at that. Like, I've never seen someone more even throughout the entire game. He never got too high or too low. Also, like, his preparation for games was ridiculous, and that dude watched so much film that you wouldn't even believe it if I told you the number of hours. But, yeah, he just taught me those 2 main things, like how to manage yourself throughout a game, stay level-headed, and just preparation mainly. So,
You were recently named MSFA Offensive Player of the Week and set the program record with 5 touchdowns. So how were you able to step into this role? Were you expecting to step into this starting role over the summer? How did that happen, and how did you kind of prepare to take on the title of starting quarterback?
Well, after last season ended, it was just me and one other quarterback, Austin Myers, in the room, and then we brought in a transfer and had a bunch of freshmen come in. So, it was a lot of competition. Like, all of us are able to play, and all 3 of those guys, Austin, me, and Arj, we can all, like, play, and we're all good quarterbacks. But I just kept, like, competing and trying to work my hardest, and yeah.
So you guys obviously haven't had a close game yet, but heading into Valpo, what are you guys expecting, and how are you guys preparing for that game?
I think we're preparing just like any other week, just focusing on Valpo, going 1-0. I'm looking forward to the atmosphere. We played there in 22, and it was a fun game. We ended up losing by a field goal maybe. I think we missed a field goal at the end of the game. But that's a fun stadium to play in, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking we should have a good game.
Yeah, and offensively, we're preparing the same as we do every week, same schedule, and just install and all that stuff. And I'm expecting it to be a really fun game, really competitive, and I'm looking forward to it being close all the way through. Hopefully with us on top, I think we can get it done.
So more specifically, I know, Kyle, you just touched on it. What do you guys think the key to success is going to be on the offensive side and on the defensive side?
Key to success is staying on the field. Although it may sound like very simple or whatever, just converting on 3rd down, being able to run the ball well, setting that foundation to open things up in the pass game, right? That'll be the main thing, just being able to run the ball, converting on 3rd down, making smart decisions, all that.
I think for defense, the main thing would be containing the quarterback and limiting explosives on the outside. They got good receivers, and they got good athletes all around that can hurt us if we don't keep the top on. So I think just playing top-down defense and containing the quarterback is probably that's like the main challenge this week. That's what we need to do.
So transitioning to off the field, we kind of talked about the things the team does. How specifically have you seen yourselves grow in your faith since coming to IWU?
So I went to a Christian high school as well, and I was kind of like a feeder school. So my faith was developing throughout high school, and then IWU was the place for me to just continue to help me develop over the 4 years I was here. But we took a trip, like a football trip, to Colorado. It's what all the seniors do now. It started with Coach Rody. I was the first class to take the trip, yeah. But I think that trip probably changed my perspective and my faith. Going out there, it was just a group of like 20 or 30 guys, and we hiked the mountain. It was like really hard. But I think throughout that trip, we had a lot of small group time, a lot of bonding, and then just hearing other people's perspective. That kind of helped me like center my faith in Christ again, because throughout the 8 years of going to a Christian school, you kind of just get, I ain't gonna say bored, but it's just repetitive, like chapel, like that kind of thing. But I think that trip did me really good with my faith. So
I'd also, like, I have a pretty similar story as well. Like, I went to a Christian high school, and, you know, you hear the same things all 4 years that you're there, and you go to chapel. And, you know, I'm a Christian, and I was a Christian then as well. But coming here, I saw a lot of dudes from a lot of different backgrounds, and especially with the older guys, it was like you're seeing their development from the type of person they were freshman year to the type of person they were senior year. And a lot of those guys, like, although making mistakes isn't great, like, they teach people from their own mistakes so that the younger guys aren't making the mistakes that they did when they first got here. And I'd say, like, a lot of those guys, hearing the stuff that they've had to say has helped me a lot. So
the last two questions are usually the more fun questions. Is there something you guys do individually or as a team before every game, either to get your mind right or just like a pregame ritual?
I guess as a team, I think the Wildcat Walk helped me like lock in. Like once we walked to the stadium, it's like, okay, now it's time to just lock in, listen to music or whatnot. And then away games, it's probably when we do our team walkthrough, the little special teams. Everybody go out and we go through the script for the day. And I think by that time, it's like, okay, it's time to transition to game mode. So that's kind of like the traditional thing for me.
Yeah, I'd actually say the same thing for away games. I'm not on any special teams, but during the walkthrough, like before we get to the special teams, everyone gets to walk the field, and some guys like to toss the ball. But I just like to put my headphones in and listen to music and just walk from end zone to end zone and walk around a couple times and just, you know, like transition from, oh, we're on the bus, we're going to the game, to like, oh, we're actually about to play. I need to get ready to go, you know. So
I gotta listen to Morgan Wallen pregame too.
So finally, what has been your favorite memory of being a part of the IWU football team in your time here?
I would say my favorite memory is Northwestern Iowa, but we lost bad that game.
So why was it a favorite memory?
I feel like for my career, that game was probably a turning point for me, where it was like we played the national championship team, and I saw their culture and their standard and how they played kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked the team that we had in 22, and we lost in the Final Four. And like I said, they eventually went on to win a national championship. So I think that game was like not bittersweet, like we lost, but I think playing that game gave me like all the motivation to come back to play and just get better. Know that it was like a lot of levels I had to get to. So I don't know. That's probably my weird favorite memory.
For me, probably last year we had the Thanksgiving game, like the game the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It was against Morningside. There was just we had a lot of juice that week. Like, everyone was on Thanksgiving break, and we were the only guys on campus. So, you know, like, everyone was hanging out after practice, and we were able to practice at night. And just, I don't know, the feel of being at school still while a lot of teams are home and just spending time with the guys was really cool. And we won, which was awesome. So, yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining us and talking about all of the team success. And Wildcat Nation, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 with IWU Football's Kyle Antoine and Neil Campbell. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 3 as we highlight the women's soccer team. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week, presented by Amplify Media.